We began a series last week called The Way. The Way. And I just want to briefly, because I see some people that didn't see last week, I just briefly want to just summarize last week and explain what do we mean by the way. And the way represents the way. Jesus declared, I am the way, the truth, the life. Christians are only mentioned 3 times in the Bible, but the way was mentioned a lot more. And so I explained last week in Acts chapter 9 that when Saul is getting permission from the Pharisees to bring people from Damascus back to Jerusalem, ultimately to kill them, stand trial, whatever, he's going to kill them, he refers to them as followers of the way. So the way was born from Jesus being the way, and that's what they called themselves. We are followers of the way. Now, Christian came about 4 or 5 years later, and I mentioned it was a derogatory term at first. Christian means belonging to Christ. It seems like a good thing, but it was a mockery of these people who were so peculiar because they followed the way, and eventually that kind of just stuck. We see the church fathers adapted it. Rome, once they got hold of the church, adapted it, and Christian became the lingo to use. And how we can today just kind of separate the two is in a sense that Christian is kind of watered down right now. Kind of watered down in the sense that if you're a Catholic, you're a Christian. If you're a Latter-day Saint, you're a Christian. If you're a Jehovah's Witness, you're a Christian. Like if you're taking a survey and you check the box, if in any one of those religions, you just check Christian. Whereas it's more defined when you get to the way. Because there's only one way. All those other religions have different ways to God. The way is Jesus Christ. And it's more of an internal thing. It's more of, this is not what I do occasionally. It is actually who I am. It's who I don't just proclaim to be. It is the very essence of my being. Christ has transformed me. He has made me a brand new creation, and therefore I follow the way. There is a particular way that we need to follow. And last week I talked about, just briefly after introducing the way, a particular way that's involved in this is community. The way within community. Talked about the nearly 60 times in the New Testament that the phrase one another is said. I mean, come on. We should get a hint when God repeats something nearly 60 times. Love one another, show honor to one another, admonish one another, serve one another, forgive one another, all these one another's. And when we proclaim to follow the way, we do things with one another. It's not some isolated thing. It is with one another. So today, we're still in that theme of community, but I want to take it just slightly different for a couple minutes here. And by the way, this is just kind of be a little more reflective. Part 2 is next week. I'm really glad at this point I actually made 2 parts. Okay? It's the way in terms of devotion. Devotion. Because you cannot be a follower of the way if we don't have devotion. And what do I mean by devotion? Go to Acts chapter 2. And for the sake of time, I'm already there. And I'll have it on the screen here. But Acts 2:42, we're very familiar with this verse, but let's just pause for a moment and read it as if we're reading it for the first time. And they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and the fellowship, to the breaking of bread and the prayers. Simple. I'm preaching 1 verse today. I'm actually preaching 4 words of 1 verse today. And they devoted themselves. They devoted themselves. What does it mean to devote oneself to something? I think it's a little bit ambiguous today. The culture we live in, it's more about self than sacrifice. It's more about convenience than commitment. And so we're just like, once something gets hard, whether it's sticking with a job, sticking with a marriage, like these things, once they get hard. Culture has just made it so convenient, so comfortable, so acceptable to say, well, it's just about you. How do you feel? What do you want to do? That's really the opposite of this word devoted. It's a very strong word here, this word devoted. They devoted themselves. Now, next week, part 2 is when we get into the things like the apostles, teaching, the breaking of bread, those sorts of things. But I just want to hone in on this word devoted, because biblically, devotion is gritty. Devotion is hard. A devotion that says, no matter what comes my way, whether I'm mocked, whether I have to give up personal ambitions or things, I am going to stay devoted to the way, regardless of opportunities that may take away from following the way. Now, don't think for a second I'm coming in and I'm saying, give up everything. That's what Jesus, that's his job. If he calls a particular person to say, literally give up everything that you're doing right now, that's one thing. I'm not quite going there, but what I'm saying is this allegiance within our heart to stay devoted, no matter the cost, no matter what opportunity may come our way, that we just stay aligned to the way. They devoted themselves. Does that make sense? Because here's one of the cruxes of all of this is the fact that the very backbone of this faith that we call the way is centered on this care to devotion. If I don't tend to this devotion, if I don't care for this devotion, my goodness, we have so many things that come in our lives that could steer us away. And so we have to tend to this devotion. We have to care to this devotion. We can't just assume that I've made a decision, it's done, and I'm automatically on a straight line ready to go. No, there's going to be things that come that are going to try to pull us away from the way. And so that's why we have to, the very fact that we have to care for it, tend it, should speak to us and cause us to be watchful of these things that could distract us away. And one more thing before I get into a list of things just to kind of ruminate on here when it comes to devotion. Devotion is not all of your effort. If devotion is not marked by Spirit-empowered strength, Spirit-empowered ability, we're following the wrong way. We're leading our own lives. Maybe it's control, maybe it's fear, maybe it's convenience, selfishness. You name it. It's different for everybody. But the very fact that we have the Spirit, the Holy Spirit, to empower us to stay on the way, to care for this devotion along the way, says a lot. And it should bring I don't have to do this on my own. Okay? So again, I'm just, for the sake of time right now, and just to digest and set up for next week, I just want to focus on this word devotion. It's very specific, and I'm just going to toss up on the screen some things here very quickly. It's in your notes if you want to reference it. But what does it mean to be devoted biblically? Okay? It means there's a persistence that is ongoing, that it is unrelenting. Think of Paul once he got converted from Saul to Paul. From persecuting to following. He was unrelenting in the way. Think about that. It's intentional. It's marked by a very conscious choice, very purposeful. Like if we're going to stay on the way, it's like driving, for example. You don't just get there, okay? You got to mark the way. You got to follow the way. It's very intentional here. There's faithfulness involved, a loyalty, a consistency over time. Even when it gets hard, even when it gets inconvenient, there's vigilance, that we have to, like I said, be watchful because we do have that enemy that's prowling around like a roaring lion, like I mentioned last week. So to be vigilant that there may be things taking us off the way. It's habitual. It's regular. It's structured. It's not one day out of the week. Like, this is my life. This is it. What is it marked by? It's right now, for me, it's marked by my mornings with the Lord. I'm in this great place right now where mornings are my jam. Like, I get up, it's just starting to peak light out, and I'm like, here we go. Like, I blast the worship music. I get out there. When the sun's coming up, I spend some time in the Word. Like, it's quiet. I love it. So what is your place? What works for you? Maybe it's the evening. Maybe you're a night person. I don't know. But we got to get in this habit of devotion in these things. It's a steadfastness. It's unwavering, especially under the pressure that life brings. It's sacrificial. You're willing. You're willing to give up things for the way. I will go as far as to say, if we're followers of the way, yet we're not sacrificing anything, we're not following the way. That was marked by Jesus himself. It's obedience. It's being submitted to God's commands. It's communal. It's expressed in life with each other. It's empowered by the Spirit. Okay, so that's just some things that we should have in our mind. This describes the devotion biblically. When it talks in the Bible about devotion, these are definitions that it gives. Why we lack devotion today, comfort and convenience. And again, I'm just setting the table right now. Maybe just one of these stands out. Maybe one of these on the screen that I'm about to show, we can just take home with the Lord this week and go, Lord, I need to work on this. Will you begin? I want to be more devoted to you. I want to be devoted to the way. Will you show me these things in me? Comfort and convenience, distraction and busyness, okay, self-centeredness, impatience, spiritual apathy. Spiritual apathy. That I want to just touch on that for a moment. Because our walk with God, I know not intentional, but it's often marked by these spiritual highs and lows. And when you're feeling the song, let's keep worshiping. But if I'm not feeling it, I don't know if I just turn it off and go on to something else. Or do we, even though we don't feel anything, continuing worship because it's what we're called to do? Regardless if I feel something or not. I don't feel like, wow, I just read the Bible and that was awesome. We're about, in the Bible in a year, to hit some Lamentations, some of Jeremiah and Isaiah. I pray for everybody that's going to continue. But whether we feel it or not, are we in it? Are we in it? Because devotion says, even if I don't feel anything, I'm still pursuing Jesus. I'm still after him, regardless of my feelings involved along the way. So I just end with this. I had some more stuff there. One of the things, I'll pull this on the screen. You can reference this in the notes. Jesus, he talks here about ministering to people in Mark chapter 3. And he gives the example about, hey, I want the disciples in verse 9, I want you to have a boat ready. I want you to have a boat ready because of the crowd. English, like I said, it kind of messes up things a lot. Did you know that word ready is the same word as Acts 2:42, devoted? Have a boat devoted for him, ready to go. Ready to go. And I would say, to sum up everything, this is a reflection of what devoted means. It means to be ever ready. It means to be available all the time. It means to say, I'm a follower of the way. At any moment, I'm willing to sacrifice. At any moment, I'm ready to be intentional. At any moment, I'm ready to be vigilant. At any moment, I'm ready to be steadfast. Whatever the moment calls for, I'm ready. I'm devoted. Does it make sense? Okay, so again, it's just to tee it up. Come back next week. We're going to get into some more specific things. How do we live this out? But I want us to take heart this morning, and I want us to become reflective of our own lives, our own households, and go, okay, I am a follower of the way. I'm meant to go a particular direction. Is my life aligned towards that? What do I maybe need to give up? What do I maybe need to take more of? And begin to ask God. If we could do that together and then come back next week and figure out how we can then put these pieces together that Acts 2:42 finishes on, we'll be ready to go. And I'm just excited. I have no agenda on length in this series. At first, I was like, one message. Well, no, maybe 3-part series, maybe a 6-part series. And today, I'm standing before you. I'm like, I don't know how long this is going to go, but I do know that God is in something here. And there is something about getting away from just being a Christian back to the way. The way. And it's liberating. It's not constrictive. It's freeing. It aligns hearts. It aligns purpose. It aligns vision. It aligns families. We get on the way, we're on our way to great things that God wants to do. Go ahead and stand.